everyone and welcome to my belated June book haul. This haul really isn't too big compared to my usual ones. I think I've got 21 books to show you, which isn't bad for me, come on. 3 of those are physical books because I've started the rule of I'm going to cut down on my Kindle buying just because I've got so many NetGalley books and so many Kindle books still unread. And in comparison, I've not got that many physical books unread. I've still got quite a few, but nowhere near the same amount. So I'm gonna let myself buy 2 physical books a month. 1 maybe even some months. And of course I've already broken that rule already because I bought 3 in June. So let's show you the books. The first physical book I bought last month was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And this is a YA fantasy that is getting a lot of hype on BookTube, so I'm sure you've probably heard of this. But I've not seen a single bad review about this at all. And I just really wanted to check it out. I wanted to read more fantasy this year. This one looks a great place to go with my continuation of that because, as I said, everyone seems to love it. So I'm really, really excited to get to this, and it's stunning, absolutely stunning, the details on this cover. Despite this looking quite long, I don't think it will take long to read because while the font's quite small, there's not an awful lot per page, so I think this could be quite a quick read. Then I also decided to treat myself to a book that I've been waiting to buy for a long time. I'd sort of almost forgot that I hadn't bought it in the end actually, and that is the Dolocher by Caroline Barry. So I first heard about this book on Aoife's channel over at Fred Weasley Died Laughing, and she read it quite a while ago now I think, and I was wanting to read it and I was thinking, oh yes, I'll pick it up at some point, and then just never got around to buying it, but now I have. And the main thing that intrigues me about this is because if you have watched my channel much, you will know that I am massively into reading around like Jack the Ripper, and this is a similar thing, but in Dublin they'd got the Dolocher. So I thought this would be right up my street and no doubt just my cup of tea. It's a lot longer than what I expected it to be, but I can't wait to get into this all the same. So those are meant to be the 2 books that I bought in June. However, I went food shopping at my local supermarket towards the end of the month. So if I'd done it like a few days later, this could have gone in my July haul, but never mind. But yeah, towards the end of June, I was in Tesco and I saw this for like £3, and Sophie Kinsella, if you've been watching my channel a while, you'll know is one of my favourite authors, and I don't yet own Surprise Me, so it's like £3 for a Sophie Kinsella paperback. I am well up for that. So I've not really kind of followed much about this standalone of hers actually. I'm assuming it's just a typical chick lit kind of stuff that she does, romance, that kind of thing shoved in there with a bit of comedy. I've not really seen many reviews of it either. I don't feel like this book has kind of done all that well compared to some of her other ones, but £3, bargain. Cannot wait to read this. Pretty short, we'll fly through it I'm sure. So that was all the physical book. I'm not totally stopping from buying Kindle books because there might be occasions where it's called for, like if I've already got the rest of the series on Kindle, why would I buy the last book in a series in paperback as an example. But as a result, I've managed to only buy 2 Kindle books last month. So the first one is Ghosts of the Shadow Market 3, Every Exquisite Thing by Cassandra, Clare and Maureen Johnson. And this is the 3rd short story novella-y thing in the Shadow Market series, and first of all I bought the first 2 on Kindle, so it makes sense to get this, but also it doesn't come out in a physical form until once all the stories are out, and then they'll be available like a bind up copy. So I don't see the point in waiting for that. I'm just going to carry on buying the Kindle one each month. Makes sense. And I've already read this one, so if you want to see my thoughts on it, you can see that in... I've got a review actually. I've got a full spoiler-free review of the first 3, so check that out. I'll leave that linked in the cards. Next we have The Last Tudor by Philippa Gregory, and I own all except 1 of my other Philippa Gregory books in Kindle format, so it made sense to continue collecting in Kindle. I've actually only read 1 Philippa Gregory book, and that's my physical one, but forget that little detail. So this is a historical fiction, obviously, as all our other ones are. Set in the Tudor period, looking at it, I love the cover. That raven with the Tower of London in the background is just like, oh, I love London. Anyway, I don't know what this one's about. I'm not going to look into it because, to be honest, I'm probably not going to be getting to it anytime soon. I'm just collecting them as and when. And so on to the books that I received from publishers via NetGalley. Again, there's quite a few here, but not as many as I would normally have, so my cutting down is working. So first here we have Kitten Rescue, which is book 1 in the new Animal Arc series by Lucy Daniels. And I'm really excited to get into this series because I loved the original Animal Art books. I've only got one of them still on my shelf, which is a kitten one again, so this is making me look kind of cat obsessed. I'm just so pleased to have been approved for this. Next we have It All Falls Down by Sheena Kamal. And I got this because this is in a kind of crime series where obviously you don't really need to be reading them in order, but this is in a series, and in the video where Luke buys me books, there's a book by Sheena Kamal in there, and that is in the same series. So I thought I could read that one and then read this one, or even read this one and then read that one. Either way, I liked the sound of it, so I'm kind of taking a bit of a risk here and getting another book by this author in the same series, even though I haven't read the other one yet. Next we have The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton, and this is a historical fiction. It doesn't actually come out until the 20th of September. I've had my eye on quite a few Kate Morton books, and I own a few, and I haven't read any of them yet. And they all just really draw me in. Their covers, their storylines. I love a good historical fiction, so I kind of just grabbed this one without really thinking about it too much, to be honest. This one's set in the summer of 1862, where a group of young artists led by the passionate and talented Edward Radcliffe descends upon Birchwood Manor on the banks of the Upper Thames. They plan to spend a secluded summer month in a haze of inspiration and creativity. But by the time their stay is over, one woman has been shot dead while another has disappeared, a priceless heirloom is missing, and Edward Radcliffe's life is in ruins. Now, if that doesn't sound my cup of tea, I don't know what does. I am so up for this story. Coming out on the 28th of August, we have got Ruin of Stars by Linsey Miller. This is the sequel to Mask of Shadows, which I read, I think it might have been last year, I'm not sure. Anyway, I actually really enjoyed it. It's another fantasy series, and so I wanted to get this because it's like the final book, so I want to know how everything goes from here because I actually did really enjoy the first one. So I can't really tell you much about what this is about, except that the first book in the series follows a character named Sal, and she has gone to this kind of castle to train as an assassin, but only certain people can go through. I'm kind of struggling to remember much of the plot beyond that. I think I need to give it a reread before I read this one by the sounds of it, but it was really good. Next we have Someone I Used to Know by Patty Blount, and this comes out on the 1st of August. So this is a YA novel that covers the subject of rape culture and families torn apart by sexual assault. Next we have Zero by Marc Elsberg, and this came out on the 12th of July. So this is described as being the gripping best-selling global thriller for fans of Dave Eggers' The Circle and Channel 4's Black Mirrors. I've not yet read The Circle, and I've not seen Black Mirrors, but I really do enjoy a good thriller, so I'm hoping that this one doesn't disappoint. So it says a teenager is shot dead after chasing a criminal in the street. Investigating journalist is led to a popular social media platform, FreeMe, a competitor to Facebook whose lifestyle app claims to give you everything you need to succeed in life. But there is one who warns against its evils, Zero, the most wanted activist known for exposing the toxic truth behind social media giants and their pursuit of total control. I feel like this is something that's really important in this day and age because we all are a bit too obsessed with social media these days. And so I think it would be really interesting to read a thriller based around social media and possibly how it's not very good for you in some cases. Next we have the most adorable cover you can even imagine. This is Endling Book 1 The Last by Katherine Applegate, and this comes out on the 1st of November. And this is a middle grade fantasy novel from what I can tell. I think the cover is what kind of pulled me in the most. I didn't necessarily take in much about the description, but I can't wait to get to this because who doesn't want to sit and read a book with a cover like that? Next we have Don't You Cry by Cass Green, and this comes out on the 6th of September, and this is another thriller. So the cover for this one didn't really draw me in all that much. I think I just ended up kind of clicking on it wanting to know what it was about, and then the description sold me. So, one stolen baby, two desperate strangers, one night of terror. The USA Today and Sunday Times top-selling best author returns with a dark and twisty psychological thriller. So, when Nina almost dies during a disastrous blind date, her life is saved by a waitress called Angel. But later that evening, Nina is surprised by a knock on the door. It's Angel and she's pointing a gun at her. I'm not going to read beyond that. I'm scared that anything below that might spoil anything at all, but is that not really intriguing? I can't wait to get into that. Next we have The Wives by Lauren Weisberger, and this is the author of The Devil Wears Prada, which I haven't read yet, but I have seen the film. And this is actually set in the same world, so one of the characters in that, I'm not sure how big a character because I've not read it and it's been a while since I've watched the film and I can't really remember people. Next we have The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. And this came out on the 12th of July. This is actually this author's first novel, so this actually came out before A Little Life. But this has been kind of republished by a different publisher over here, so it's been like re-released. So I thought I'd grab it, even though I haven't yet read A Little Life, just because I feel like this is one of those authors that you just hear so many good things about that maybe if I don't get around to one pretty soon, I'll get around to the other. Like, I've got options now. But this is set in 1950, and it's about a young doctor who embarks upon an expedition to a remote Micronesian island in search of a rumoured lost tribe. Next we have How to Be Famous by Caitlin Moran, and I've kind of, in the last year or two, developed a bit of a love for Caitlin Moran, so I'm now looking out for any and every one of her books. This came out on the 28th of June, and this is one of her fiction novels and is a sequel to How to Build a Girl. Next we have The Power of Dog by Andrew Marshall. Look at that dog, it's so cute. This came out on the 12th of July, and this is a memoir about getting a first puppy, turning 40 and transforming a son and mother's complicated relationship. So I love books where dogs kind of are part of a memoir and they kind of make changes in your life. That's really been kind of something that stands out to me as like one of the most interesting types of memoir you can read. Here we have The Last by Hannah Jameson. Oh, my sunburn's hurting. And this isn't due to come out until the 31st of January next year, so we've got a long wait for this one. But this is like standout. I'm hoping this is going to be as good as I'm hoping it is. Because if this isn't as good as I want it to be, I'm going to be massively disappointed. So the description stands out and like really will make you want to read this. So it says, breaking, nuclear weapon detonates over Washington. Breaking, London hit, thousands feared dead. Breaking, Munich and Scotland hit, world leaders call for calm. So John Keller was on a trip to Switzerland when the world ended. More than anything, he wishes he hadn't ignored his wife Nadia's last message. 20 people remain in John's hotel, far from the nearest city. They wait, they survive. Then one day, the body of a girl is found. It's clear she has been murdered, which means that someone in the hotel is a killer. As paranoia descends, John decides to investigate. But how far is he willing to go in pursuit of justice, and what happens if the killer doesn't want to be found? So this might, and only might, because I suppose there is potential for someone else to have survived somewhere, have like a locked room mystery kind of deal with it. Meanwhile, I love the whole idea of the setting around it. Like, I just want to read this right now, but it's a bit early yet when it doesn't come out until January next year. Next we have The Survival Game by Nikki Singer, and this comes out on the 26th of July. And so this one, again, just looks really, really interesting to me. So this is in a world full of checkpoints and controls. Can love and hope defy the borders? A searing, timely story as arresting as it is beautiful. So how on earth do I say that name? Mahari and Bain owns only two things: a gun with no bullets and no identity papers. The world is a shell of what it once was. Now you must prove yourself worthy of existence at every turn, at every border checkpoint, and if you are going to survive, your instincts will become your most valuable weapon. Mahari has learned the importance of living her own story, of speaking to no one, but then she meets a young boy with no voice at all and finds herself risking everything to take him to safety. And so Mahari and the silent boy travel the road north, but there are rumours that things in Scotland have changed since she has been away. What Mahari finds there is shocking and heartbreaking, but might finally reconnect her to her sense of self and to the possibility of love. An extraordinary story about survival and what it costs, about the power of small kindness to change everything. Next we have a book that I've started seeing everywhere since I got this review copy, so I've clearly picked another popular one. And this is Tempest and Slaughter by Tamora Pierce. I've been seeing a lot of books around and about from this author recently on BookTube, and so this is the main reason why I wanted to check it out, because I've heard such good things. So this is a fantasy series, and it says, the legend begins. In the ancient halls of the Imperial University of Carthage, a young man has begun his journey to become one of the most powerful mages the realm has ever known. Aram Draper is the youngest student in his class and has the gift of unlimited potential for greatness and of attracting danger. At his side are his two best friends, clever Varys girl with too often overlooked, and Ozorn, the leftover prince with secret ambitions. Together these three forge a bond that will one day shape kingdom. As I said earlier, I've been wanting to get into more fantasy. I've been hearing great things about this author, so I figured this was another great place for me to go on my fantasy adventure. Next we have And So It Begins by Rachel Abbott, and this comes out on the 15th of November. And I read a Rachel Abbott book earlier this year. I can't remember what it was called now, but I loved it and I gave it like 4 stars. And so when I saw this and realised that it wasn't part of the series that I was reading before, but like a new series, I was like, I really want to read this. And so I grabbed a copy, and it's a kind of crime thriller, and I don't really want to look at the description because I don't want to risk spoiling myself, but I'm really excited for this one. And shockingly, that is the end of the haul. Oh my goodness. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what books that you bought in the month of June. Let me know what you think of some of the picks, whether you've read any of them, whether you want to read any of them. Just drop me a comment down below. I would love to have a chat with you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me there somewhere, or is it there somewhere? No, I'm sure it's there somewhere. If you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!